Okay, let's begin our reading with chapter 8 of Jubilees, the genealogy of the descendants of Shem. Noah and his sons divide the earth. In the 29th Jubilee, in the first week, 1773 a.m., in the beginning thereof, Aprasad took to himself a wife, and her name was Rahosakeah, the daughter of Susan, the daughter of Elam, and she bare him a son in the third year in this week, 1375 a.m. And he called his name Cainan, and the son grew, and his father taught him writing. And he went to seek for himself a place where he might seize for himself a city. And he found a writing which former generation had carved on the rock, and he read what was thereon, and he transcribed it, and signed owing to it, and sinned owing to it, for it contained the teaching of the watchers, in accordance with which they used to observe the omens of the sun and moon and stars and all the signs of heaven. And he wrote it down, and said nothing regarding it, for he was afraid to speak to Noah about it, lest he should be angry with him on account of it. And in the 13th Jubilee, 1429 a.m., in the second week, in the first year thereof, he took to himself a wife, and her name was Milcah, the daughter of Madai, the son of Japheth. And in the fourth year, 1432 a.m., he begat a son, and called him Shelah, for he said, Truly I have been sent. And in the fourth year he was born, and Shelah grew up, and took to himself a wife, and her name was Muach, and the daughter of Kishid, his father's brother. And in 13th Jubilee, in the fifth week, in the first year, 1499 a.m. Therefore, and she bare him a son in the fifth year, 1503 a.m. Therefore, thereof, and he called his name Eber. And he took unto himself a wife, and her name was Azirad, the daughter of Nimrod. In the 32nd Jubilee, in the seventh week, in the third year thereof, 1564 a.m. And in the sixth year, 1567 a.m. thereof, she bare him a son, and he called him Pegleg. For in the days when he was born, the children of Noah began to divide the earth amongst themselves. For this reason he called his name Peleg. And they divided it secretly among themselves, and told it to Noah. And it came to pass in the beginning of the 33rd Jubilee, 1569 a.m., that they divided the earth into three parts, for Shem and Ham and Japheth, according to the inheritance of each, in the first year, in the first week, when one of us who had been sent was with them. And he called his sons, and they drew nigh to him, they and their children, and he divided the earth into the lots, which his three sons were to take in possession. And they reached forth their hands, and took the writing out of the bosom of Noah their father. And there came forth on the writings as Shem's lost the middle of the earth. And there came forth on the writings of Shem's lot the middle of the earth, which he should take as an inheritance for himself and for his sons for the generations of eternity, from the middle of the mountain range of Rapha, from the mouth of the water, from the river Tina, and his portion goes towards the west through the midst of this river, and it extends till it reaches the water of the abysses, out of which this river goes forth and pours its waters into the sea. Miat, and this river flows into the great sea. And all that is towards the north is Japheth, and all that is towards the south belongs to Shem, and it extends till it reaches Carasso. This is in the bosom of the tongue which looks towards the south, and his portion extends along the great sea, and it extends in a straight line till it reaches the west of the tongue which looks towards the south. For this sea is named the tongue of the Egyptian sea, and it turns from here towards the south, towards the mouth of the great sea of the shore of its waters, and it extends to the west of Aphra, and it extends till it reaches the waters of the river Gihon, and to the south of the waters of Gihon, to the banks of this river. And it extends towards the east, till it reaches the Garden of Eden, to the south thereof, to the south, and from the east of the whole land of Eden, and of the whole east. It turns to the east, and proceeds till it reaches the east of the mountain of Rapha, and it descends to the bank of the mouth of the river Tina. This portion came forth by lot for Shem and his sons, that they should possess it forever unto his generations forevermore. And Noah rejoiced that this portion came forth for Shem and for his sons, and he remembered all that he had spoken with his mouth in prophecy. For he said, Blessed be the Lord God of Shem, and may the Lord dwell in the dwelling of Shem. And he knew that the Garden of Eden is the Holy of Holies, and the dwelling of the Lord, and Mount Sinai, the center of the desert, and Mount Zion, the center of the navel of the earth. These three were created as holy places facing each other, and he blessed the God of gods, who had put the word of the Lord into his mouth, and the Lord forevermore. And he knew that a blessed portion and a blessing had come to Shem and his sons unto the generations forever. The whole land of Eden, and the whole land of the Red Sea, and the whole land of the east and India, and on the Red Sea, and on the mountains thereof, and all the land of Bashan, and all the land of Lebanon, and the islands of Captor, and all the mountains of Sinir, Amana, and the mountains of Ashur in the north, and all the land of Elam, Ashur, and Babel, and Susan, and Meday, and all the mountains of Ararat, and all the region beyond the sea, which is beyond the mountains of Ashur towards the north, a blessed and spacious land, and all that is in it is very good. And for Ham came forth the second portion beyond the Gihon, towards the south to the right of the garden, and it extends south, and it extends towards the south, and it extends to all the mountains of fire, and it extends towards the west to the sea of Betel, and it extends towards the west till it reaches the sea of Maok, that sea into which everything which is not destroyed descends. And it goes forth towards the north to the limits of Gedar, and it goes forth to the coast of the waters of the sea, and to the waters of the great sea, till it draws near to the river Gihon, and goes along the river Gihon till it reaches the right of the Garden of Eden. And this is the land which came forth for Ham as the portion which he was to occupy forever for himself and his sons, and unto their generations forever. And for Japheth came forth the third portion beyond the river Tina, to the north of the outflow of its waters, and it extends north, easterly to the whole region of Gog, and to all the country east thereof. And it extends northerly to the north, and it extends to the mountains of Kilt, towards the north, and towards the sea of Mauk. And it goes forth to the east of Gadir, as far as the region of the waters of the sea. And it extends until it approaches the west of Pharaoh, and it returns towards Ephrag, and it extends easterly to the waters of the sea of Mea. And it extends to the region of the river Tina, in a northeasterly direction, until it approaches the boundary of its waters towards the mountain Rapha, and it turns round towards the north. This is the land which came forth for Japheth and his sons, as the portion of his inheritance, which he should possess for himself and his sons, for their generations forever, 5 great islands, and the great land in the north. But it is cold, and the land of Ham is hot, and the land of Shem is neither hot nor cold, but it is of blended cold and heat. We'll stop there. That's fascinating. We have to go back to that and try to break that down. Next up is chapter 9. Subdivision of the 3 portions amongst the grandchildren. Oath taken by Noah's sons. That should be interesting.